One day you'll realize you were never the man you thought you were. You believed kindness would make her stay. You thought patience and loyalty would make her choose you. But then one morning you wake up to an empty side of the bed, messages left unread. The eyes that once held warmth are now nothing but a cold wall. And the most painful part isn't that she left, but the truth hitting you. She was never truly drawn to you. Society trained you to be the good guy, never cause trouble, always agree, always try to please. But what society never told you is this: the moment you let go of your primal edge, you let go of your attraction. Modern men are drowning in the illusion that love is a reward for obedience. The brutal truth: love is the consequence of inner strength, and that strength you've abandoned for far too long. Today I'm going to drag you out of that sleep, and you will never look at yourself the same way again. Do you know the real reason why so many men never hold on to a woman's heart, even when they check every box on the social standards list? It's not because they lack money looks or clever words. It's because they lack depth of presence, what psychology calls emotional attunement, the absolute ability to connect in the present moment. I'm not talking about hearing her words while your mind is drifting toward a deadline at work. I'm talking about being so present that every blink, every breath, every silence between you is felt and honored. The problem is, modern men have become unconscious time travelers. They live in regret over the past and anxiety about the future. They text her but are thinking about a to-do list. They go out to dinner but their eyes are glued to the phone. And women with millions of years of evolutionary instinct to read emotional signals sense this instantly. When she speaks, you listen, only to reply. When she pauses, you rush to fill the silence with a joke or a story. You fear the void because the void demands that you be truly present, and that's something you haven't practiced. Picture this. A warrior stands on a cliff, wind tearing through his hair. No weapon, no armor, only eyes locked on the horizon. He doesn't have to speak. His presence is the power. In psychology, this is called self-possession, the ability to own yourself completely. And it's the magnetic force that draws women in. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." This isn't just advice for inner peace. It's a survival strategy for masculine strength. When you are fully here, you broadcast. I am not ruled by the past. I am not dragged by the future. I command this moment. And here's the paradox: when you are truly present, you speak less, listen more, yet every word you choose carries 10 times the weight. She feels seen not just with your eyes, but with your entire being. Ask yourself, when was the last time you were with someone and completely lost track of time? The last time you put the phone down, looked into their eyes, and allowed the silence to exist without discomfort. Women don't leave because you're not funny enough or handsome enough. They leave when they no longer feel seen. And presence, not gifts, not compliments, not elaborate date plans, is what forges the deepest emotional bond. I know you've been taught, do more, prove more. But the truth, presence is not about doing more. It's about being more. When you command the present moment, you don't just keep her attention, you keep her respect. And once a woman respects you, affection and desire naturally follow. So before you learn how to text better, how to talk better, or how to impress, learn how to sit still, look into her eyes, and truly be there. Because in a world where everyone is running, the man who dares to stand still is the man she never forgets. Let's be honest, modern men are weakest where our ancestors were once strongest. Emotional discipline. You can hit the gym 6 days a week, follow a strict diet, make a steady income. But the moment she leaves you unseen or laughs at another guy's joke for a few seconds too long, all that strength evaporates. You become the panicked boy trapped inside a grown man's body. And that's where the downward spiral begins. When you blow up, when your voice changes, when you become pushy or cold to punish her, you send a clear signal: I cannot control myself. And to a woman, that's dangerous. Not because you're physically unsafe, but because you're emotionally unsafe. Behavioral psychology proves this. When people feel insecure, they try to control their external environment to regain safety. But the only environment you truly control is your inner world. That's exactly what Marcus Aurelius meant when he said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The problem is, most men never train this skill. We live in a world of instant reaction. Message comes in, respond instantly. Emotion rises, act instantly. But reacting fast is not the same as reacting wisely. Picture a warrior on the battlefield. The enemy taunts, spits, screams in his face. If he swings his sword in blind rage, he's lost before the fight begins. The victor is the one who waits, who breathes, who lets the heat pass before acting. In the battlefield of relationships, the principle is exactly the same. Sometimes a woman will test you not to hurt you, but to see the truth in you. She's asking, "Can you lead me through the storm, or will you be swept away with me?" If you crumble every time you're tested, you stop being her anchor and start being part of the chaos. Emotional discipline isn't about bottling up your feelings until you explode. It's the ability to observe them as if you were standing outside them. When jealousy rises, you think, this is my brain feeling threatened. When anxiety comes, you think, this is just my body trying to protect me. You name it, you see it, and you don't let it steer your actions. In a relationship, this creates a powerful effect. You become emotionally predictable, not boring safe. She knows that if something happens, you won't turn into a hurricane. And safety at its core is admiration. Psychologists call this secure attachment. A man with emotional discipline embodies it. He doesn't run when pushed away, doesn't panic when pulled closer, and stays on his path no matter her state. Next time emotion surges, try the 3-step rule. Pause. Stop for a few seconds or even minutes before reacting. Breathe slow your breathing to activate your parasympathetic nervous system and calm down. Choose respond based on your values and long-term goals, not your immediate feelings. Simple in theory, rare in practice. And rare is what makes you valuable. If you can't control your inner world, everything you build, career, relationships, reputation, is as fragile as sandcastles. But if you can, you don't just become more attractive, you become irreplaceable. And here's the secret: when you master your emotions, you no longer have to hold anyone. The right ones will stay because they feel safe in your presence. So the question is, will you remain a puppet pulled by your own emotions, or will you hold the strings? There's a moment every man faces, but few dare to confront, standing in front of the mirror, not to fix your hair or check your shirt, but to ask yourself, what am I really doing with my life? Not for her, not for your parents, not for your friends, for you. The problem is most men never find that answer, so they live off the approval of others. The emptier they feel inside, the more they crave applause from the outside. And in the age of social media, this is deadly. You can spend your whole life becoming a pleasing version for the crowd, yet never once become yourself. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. Be occupied then with what is truly your own." Look back. How many times have you done something just to be praised? How many times have you posted a photo or a status, not because it meant something to you, but because you hoped someone would notice? How many times have you followed the crowd instead of walking alone just to avoid being judged? The truth is, women aren't deeply attracted to the man who always chases the crowd's approval. They're drawn to the man with purpose so strong that even if he has to walk against the world, he still walks. Such a man radiates a different energy. He doesn't need company to feel on track. He already has a direction. Picture a man who wakes before sunrise trains while the city sleeps, works quietly on a project nobody knows about, reads while others are entertained. He doesn't broadcast his path, but every step serves what he believes in. And then one day people start to notice. They ask what he's doing. He doesn't explain. He just keeps moving. This focus on his own path makes him the mountain in the wind. A woman beside him feels she's part of a story bigger than herself. And this triggers one of the deepest evolutionary instincts. Women seek stability and direction in a partner. Not to depend on, but to walk alongside. Without purpose, you chase popularity. You become predictable, replaceable. Worse, you let others decide your path. At that point, you're no longer leading, you're being led. Remember, a man without purpose will be led by those who have one. And women, especially strong women, do not respect a man who lets others chart his course. Self-determination. Theory and psychology proves this. One of our 3 core human needs is autonomy, self-direction. Living with purpose satisfies that need fully, and it creates a magnetism you can't fake. So how do you find and live it? Not through some life-changing course in 7 days. It starts with stopping the comparison game, listening for what you do even without reward, saying no to things that pull you away from your core values. Once you step on that path, you care less about being loved or chosen. Your attraction comes from the fact that you don't try to be attractive. And ironically, that's when you become most magnetic. A woman will feel it without you saying a word. Because when you have purpose, every step, every choice, every word reflects certainty. And certainty, not looks, or money, is the foundation of lasting attraction. The question now, will you keep chasing the approving eyes of others, or will you build your own road whether anyone's watching or not? There's one truth men rarely face. Most of us have worn a mask. You can deny it, but be honest, how many times have you pretended to like something just because she liked it? How many times have you laughed at something that wasn't funny just to keep the mood? Or worse, stayed silent about something you disagreed with just to keep her happy? At first it feels harmless, even polite. But each time you do it, you send an unspoken message. I'm willing to bend who I am to be accepted. The problem is, once you normalize this, you lose the most valuable thing you have, integrity, the perfect alignment between your inner values and your outer actions. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." It sounds simple, but living true to your values in a world that constantly pushes you to fit in is a non-stop war. Women are not drawn long-term to the optimized for approval version of a man. They are drawn to the man they don't have to guess about because he is the same in every room. And when a man holds his values, no matter the circumstances, he radiates safety. And safety at its deepest level is attraction. Imagine this. You're offered a lucrative opportunity, but it requires you to go against your principles. No one would know, and the reward is huge. Most men take it telling themselves, just this once. But you, if you live with integrity, turn it down. Not because you're naive, but because you know if you sell your values, you have nothing left to stand on. That's the test most men fail. They think attraction comes from appearance. Clothes, cars, smooth words, but lasting attraction comes from the feeling. This man will not betray himself. Women sense it. They don't need perfection. They need real. Psychologists call it congruence, the alignment between identity and action. When you live congruently, you're not internally conflicted. You don't have to remember which role you played yesterday. You just are. And that steadiness creates a quiet force that doesn't need to be shown off, it's felt. Being real doesn't mean being rigid or stubborn. It means you can admit when you're wrong. You can apologize, but you never say yes to something you know is wrong just to be liked. Flexibility in expression, steel in values, that's the combination of a mature man. The good guy mistake is thinking pleasing people will make them stay. The truth. The more you bend, the more your value drops in their eyes. Nobody respects a man who doesn't respect himself. And here's the beauty. When you live with integrity, you won't have to talk about it. People feel it through your actions, through the choices you make when no one's looking. That's the unspoken language of attraction, and it can't be faked for long. So next time you're faced with image versus values, remember, image can win you attention for days, but values will earn you respect for life. And once you have that respect, attraction no longer depends on playing a role. When your true self and your actions are one, you don't just become the man women admire. You become the man you're proud to see in the mirror. By now you see it, there's no hack to keep a woman. No perfect line, no expensive suit, no luxury trip can replace the core question. Who are you when no one's watching? You can lose money, lose your job, lose your looks, but if you hold on to your presence, emotional discipline, purpose, integrity, and quiet strength, you will never lose yourself. And when you don't lose yourself, you never truly lose in any relationship. Here's the truth. This path will be lonely. There will be times you stand on the battlefield alone, no applause, no recognition. But those moments forge you into steel. You keep walking, not because anyone's watching, but because you know it's right. When you become the man who can respect himself, you no longer beg for love. You don't need to be chosen. You are the choice. And ironically, when you stop trying to be loved, real love finds you. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look." So if these words hit you today, don't just nod and go back to the same patterns. Change not tomorrow now. Turn off the phone. Look in the mirror. Ask yourself, am I truly the man I respect? If the answer is no, step onto the path. And if you see value in these words, share them. Not to spread content, but so another man somewhere gets pulled out of his sleep just like you did today. Not as a fan, but as a brother in arms. Because in the end, an awakened man never lives just for himself. He becomes a signal for others to find their way.